balance. And I think this is not fair. Madam Speaker, when it comes, even now we need to talk about the army. When you look at promotion, there was some promotion of 38 from the level of major to major general. 38 of them, I think it was 35 out of 40, was coming from one region. That is in defense. And in the constitution, recruitment should be balanced in our UPDF. But now, it is not balanced. Even yesterday, there was some promotion of some people to major general. 3 of them. And all of them, 100% was coming from one region.
There is somebody who is tempting.
And I think it is not fair.
Somebody is tempting to give you an order.
My brother, it is better.
You first listen.
Let me state facts.
You first listen to his order.
Madam Speaker, luckily, the Minister of Internal Affairs is here. When they are making recruitments for UPDF, they advertise countrywide. When they are recruiting for Uganda Police, they advertise countrywide. So I think the floor is mine. So I don't think the honourable member is right to insinuate that there is imbalance in recruitment. I don't think that is right. Madam Speaker, I don't think it's also right to say that development is on one side. Listen. I think we should only discuss employment, but when we are issuing you...
Honourable members, an advert is different from actual recruitment.
No, Madam Speaker, no way.
That is number one. But let me tell you, honourable members.
I don't think it's true.
Honourable members, truth be told, I am a chairperson of appointments committee. And I want to tell you, it is not the president who selects those people. It is not the president. The president only forwards. Now, people who forward the names to the president, do they ever think there are other areas that exist? Do they ever think? Honorable Bademus, you may think I am being opposition, but I am telling you, this is a fact. Do you ever think that person belongs to this country? I have never vetted anybody who comes from that place. You find there are people who are coming from different areas, and you're living other areas. Let's have equity. Let's have regional balance. Even when you're selecting boards, think of women, think of regional balance, think of religion, and that would solve a problem.
Madam Speaker, I'm still on. Madam Speaker, I think we need to debate this thing on facts. We want the Equal Opportunity Report to be presented here. If you are talking about the army is there, the minister is here, let them come and present how many generals we have, how many colonels we have, how many majors we have, how many captains we have. Even ambassadors, everything. Uganda belongs to all of us. Nobody is going to take us to the north.
Honourable members.
One time, Madam Speaker, we said if we cannot get equity in Uganda, we shall form Nile Republic.
That one, you say it yourself. We are not part of it. Yes, let Honourable Dole finish.
Yes. Thank you. Madam Speaker, I want to thank my colleagues for enriching this discussion. And I want to thank you also for adding your voice. The point I am making, Madam Speaker, if you perform an analysis of the budget that has been going into the different regions for high impact, high value projects, projects that create jobs, projects that have the potential of transforming the rural economy, you will find that it has been skewed. And these projects are all based on the NDP and Vision 2040. All we are asking, and I am asking, is that this parliament must be given opportunity, because this parliament represents all the regions. We must look at it. For every 5 projects we give each region. It is so painful to see that there are a list of projects and they seem to go to one area. So let the NDP come and we confirm that the budget for the next 5 years will address these issues, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Some of us lose opportunities because we are from the West. I would have loved to be a vice president of this country.
Or even a speaker.
Or a speaker. And maybe let me not go into that debate. But I can also tell you that poverty levels have increased in Chigezi from 12% to 27%. And Chigezi is not in northern Uganda. So let's debate as nationalists. I agree that the distribution of the cake should be looked at. Yes.
But is there a cake anyway?
But that's what we have been doing in this parliament, because
the
budget is passed by this house. Exactly. Therefore, yes, by this
Honorable
house.
Honorable Musasisi.
And therefore, the question was the NDP for?
Minister of ICT, it's simple. Get for us the NDP for.
The accusation is that the areas represented by ministers are much better is false. It is false. It is false.
Okay.
And the budget, the national budget, is passed by this house. So let's all scrutinize the budget. The plan will come. Let me cross-check with the Minister of Finance. And they should be able to bring the NDP for maybe early next week on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Let me commit that on Tuesday, the Minister of Finance should lay on the table the revised NDP 4.
Thank you. Next item.
But we can have a debate on inclusivity and how we are sharing the national cake. Most of the allegations we are making are false and not correct.
Next item. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want this House not to really to take it on record that the areas represented, may be some areas, but not to generalize, that they are all better than the others. Right Honorable Speaker, I have been on a committee before I was appointed of natural resources and environment for 21 years. And that's the one which deals with electricity distribution. Honorable Speaker, I can tell you, when you reach in my constituency, for example, where I come from, you can't find electricity there. And if there are poles there, they have been there for 16 years. Right Honorable Speaker, I have been here, I'm coming to 30 years, I don't know, but I'm beginning 5 years. No. You relax. I am talking 25, 30 years, wait first, I also tell you. I want to be really clear. Right Honorable Speaker, when you come to, I want to...
You leave Senga to talk.
I want to array fears that where ministers are. And I want to assure you when you come to look for the water, Right Honorable Speaker, because I'm inviting
Madam
you.
Speaker, order.
You order me.
Order. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with all the political crocodile tears ushered in by a minister of a ruling government, to an extent of explaining that for 16 years, for 21 years, she has been in the Natural Resource Committee and added on as a minister. Her place have never received electricity. Is she really in order? And she sits in the cabinet and it has no water. They are using water from Sofia in Busia. Is she in order to come in front of the August House and lament when the NRM government is saying it has achieved all its manifesto since it came in power? Are you not exposing your government that you are serving? Are you in order?
Honorable members, I don't even know why we went back into that discussion. When you look at Rule 2222, reconsidering a decision of the House, we had already closed that discussion. We had closed, and the leader of government business had already made a commitment to the effect that they are going to bring the NDP for. So it's not prudent for us again to continue discussing that issue on the floor.
Right, Honorable Speaker, with due respect,
I thought I
accept your guidance, but something must be on record. It's not in order for somebody to say that I have been in government for 21 years and is confused. I have just been appointed. I am in my 4th year, and even him on Thursday I'm supposed to go and launch big things in Busia. So is he also in order to come here and confuse the House and the House and the House?
Next item. Next item. Honorable
Item
Honorable
5.
on the same. On the same. I'm going to give you to bring it under the women. Yes, I will give you to bring under the women debate. Yes.
Item 5 on the order paper. Motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to accord due consideration to the resolutions of the second Women's Parliament.
Honorable members, you recall that that the second Women Parliament was held on 3rd March 2025. The Women's Parliament passed various resolutions for which will require an executive order, action. This motion seeks to make those resolutions part of the record of this House and accord them a referral status to the executive for an executive action. I will invite Honorable Auma Linda, the Lira District Woman Representative, to move the motion in regard to the women.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for loving the women of this country. Right Honorable Speaker, before I move the motion, I beg to lay the motion. Right Honorable Speaker, receive my greetings from the women of Uganda that were in these chambers. And they were very excited because from the history of Uganda, it was the second Women's Parliament. And we thank you so much for giving us these chambers, because the last ones we used to have in the conference hall. You've made them to fill Parliament, and they are now behaving like parliamentarians. Right Honorable Speaker, I move a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to accord due consideration to the resolutions arising from the second Women's Parliament. I move under Rule 56 of Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda and whereas Objective 4 of the National Objectives and Directive Principles of State Policy of the 1995 Constitution of Uganda obligates the state to recognize the significant role that women play in society. And whereas Article 32 and 33 mandates the state to take affirmative action in favor of marginalized groups, including women, to redress historical imbalances and ensure full participation of women in all spheres of national life, including political representation. Aware that to enable the people participate in the formulation and implementation of development plans and programs which affect them, Parliament held the first Women's Parliament on Tuesday, 7th July 2015, as a platform to foster the progress of women in political participation, economic empowerment, and transformative leadership. Further, aware that the Parliament of Uganda, through your leadership, hosted the second Women's Parliament on 3rd March 2025 under the theme Consolidating Women's Social and Economic Transformation in Uganda as part of the commemoration of the International Women's Day. Noting that the second Women's Parliament considered the following motions, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues. One was a motion for a resolution of the second Women's Parliament urging government to strengthen and enhance opportunities and access education for the girl child. The second resolution of the second Women's Parliament urged government to implement gender-responsive change action and resilience building in support of women effort in the agricultural sector. The third one was a motion for a resolution of the second Women's Parliament urging government to strengthen the policies and initiatives for women economic empowerment and financial independence. And the last resolution was a motion of resolution of second Women's Parliament urging government to strengthen women participation in politics and eliminate barriers to inclusive democracy. Further noting that, Right Honourable Speaker, arising from the motions, the second Women's Parliament made 30 resolutions. Attached to this motion, including the following: A, government agencies, civil society, development partners, and private sector actors work collectively to dismantle barriers that hinder women's education and leadership opportunities, ensuring a more inclusive and equitable future for Uganda. B, all government agencies, local authorities, private sector stakeholders, and civil society organizations work collaboratively to strengthen gender-responsive climate action, ensuring that Uganda climate's resilience efforts are inclusive, sustainable, and equitable for all. C, all government institutions, financial bodies, private sector actors, and civil society organizations work collaboratively to ensure that women's economic empowerment remains a national priority, leading to sustainable development and inclusive economic growth. And finally, government commits to continuous legislative review and oversight to ensure the full realization of gender-responsive governance and effective implementation of policies aimed at enhancing women's political empowerment in Uganda. Now, therefore, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, be it resolved by Parliament that government accords due consideration to the resolutions arising from second Women's Parliament. I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Linda. Is the motion seconded? Seconded. Seconded by Honourable, let me start with the men. By Honourable Odur, by Honourable Nambeshe, Honourable Seungu, Jonathan, Jonathan, by Honourable Jonathan, by Honourable Bademusi, by Honourable Tourism, by Honourable Winfred, Honourable Nyeko, Honorable Alan, Honorable Mujiche, Honorable Alan Sewanyana, Dr. Bedi Okello, Gerald, Emmanuel, Okot, Margaret, Connie, Apea, Pascali, Workers, Dokolo, Aru, Santa, Akelo, Honorable Lawrence Zombo, Honorable Lebtong, Honorable Lillian, Patrick, Honorable Baba, Honorable Chua, Honorable Liantonde, Honorable the whole of Arua, Matchbox, and then Tima, then Honorable Minister Senga, Honorable Victoria, Honorable Mamawi, Honorable Wokorach, Ngole Wokorach, David, then Honorable Jane, Honorable Patience, Honorable Akumo, Honorable Mpindi, Honorable Jessica, Jennifer, Catherine, Noelina, my uncle from Bugisu, and and then Honorable Butiru, and Ethel, Rita, Okotogong, and Honorable Eluelo, and then Honorable Kamukama, the whole house. Thank you so much. Would you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, as per this resolution that was made in the Second Women's Parliament, and if you see this resolution, it cuts across all sectors of development. It handles welfare, upbringing, nurturing in all forms. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this motion is very key, and it's through your wisdom that you decided that the women should come and we also hear their voices. Honorable members, women are the brain of a nation and a family. We are modified creatures. That's why we are created after you. We are not analog. We are technical. When you support us, we produce a better result. So I urge this Honorable House to really support the resolutions so that government can take appropriate actions. When you give a woman a coin, that coin will not be the same. I support you so much, and I'm also happy that you will also support this motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Rita, Honorable Ethel, local government.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to appreciate you for the second Women's Parliament that we had here. As I second the motion, Right Honorable Speaker, especially regarding the motion of the second National Parliament urging government to strengthen and enhance opportunities and access to education for the girl child. We have a duty, Right Honorable Speaker, to see that as Parliament, we put in place mechanisms, and we should make sure that the executive brings on to all those mechanisms and policies that are going to ensure that our girls that became pregnant before they left school are in position to get back to school. We should also see that our girls are granted those very opportunities to resume and to strengthen, to see that they strengthen their right to education. Right Honorable Speaker, also looking at Resolution 4, where the Parliament of the Women asked government to introduce mentorship programs for women in leadership, forging forgetting that female teachers, university students, and young professions prepare for high-level leadership roles. We should be the ones entirely to see that all those are in place. We should not only leave the children to be by themselves, but let's see how our teachers are mentored. Right Honorable Speaker, also looking at Resolution 6, where we're asked that government should strictly enforce policies against all forms of gender-based violence, including sexual harassment in schools and universities, ensuring accountability measures for perpetrators, and strengthening mechanisms for reporting abuses and access to appropriate support services for the survivors of the violence. That's under the girl child. But Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to draw this House to the fourth motion that was asked to ensure that we strengthen women's participation in politics and eliminate barriers to inclusive democracy. Right Honorable, as we realize today that several of the women are being almost put away from politics. When you look at the way the justice system is treating the women, if you critically looked at what happened some time back upon the women who were brought in court, one woman, her back was entirely opened. She had to show even her bra. So that is something that is demeaning of a woman. We are supposed to have a system that is entirely supposed to look at a woman in her way and away from the public. We need to protect women when they're accessing justice, but we also need to stand firm for their justice. As I'm about to summarize, Right Honorable, we should not forget, even it was put out very clearly under Resolution 26, that government should implement a zero-tolerance policy against all forms of gender-based electoral violence, ensuring legal action against perpetrators of violence, harassment, intimidation, and cyberbullying against women in politics. We should not forget, under Article 44, where we have the non-derogable rights, we should have women who are able to be in a position that their rights and freedoms are not interfered with. We should stand firm for women who see that up to this day, that their husbands are now political prisoners for 5 years. You are indirectly hurting a woman. When you keep her husband, she has not been heard, she has not been, nothing has been done to that level. So we are indirectly forcing these women not to associate with the political system, yet it's their right to ensure that they are in politics. So, Right Honorable, we also look at the way women are violently arrested. Can we look at once again at the procedures of arresting a person? Now, this is not only to the women, to all persons in this country. If it's about dignity of a person, let's turn back to fairness. Let's turn back to what our Constitution provides for. Otherwise, we want to stand once again as per our Constitution. Let's have that freedom against torture and cruelty, intimidation, and degrading treatment. Let's stand firm and stand for the Constitution of Uganda. We shall be better people. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Honourable members, it's about making the local woman down there to shine. Let's talk about the financial inclusivity of the local woman there. If you're giving PDM, what is the percentage of the money that is going to the local woman? If you're giving money for GROW, how many women out there get? If you're talking about education, how many women there are able to go to school? Let's look at the issues of domestic violence, the issues of owning property, the issues of how women are tortured in all aspects. Yes, Rita, let me finish with the main seconders, then I come to you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I do stand to second the motion, but also to thank you for allowing the women to come to this August House and feel it and see it, so that it can become a point of motivation for them to go and work hard. I'm told the chairperson who sat in your chair, her life will never be the same again. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to speak much to the motion 2 about climate change action and resilience, and then economic empowerment. When you talk about climate change, Right Honorable Speaker, even to some of the people in this August House, it is still abstract content. So the issues raised by the women here is to urge government to make sure that the Climate Change Act is put into implementation, that we have money to be able to educate. In this country, we have come from far, learned so many things of science, of HIV, of making money, and climate change is very alive to all of us. Recently, or even until now, you see the heat wave. Yes. And most of the women who go to the gardens to work, who do this toil using hand hoe, they cannot link what is happening with the change of weather to issues of climate change. They do not even understand what is happening to their motherland. So we need to make sure that government and all agencies and the private sector come together to be able to sensitize and educate. And of course, this is not far from the issues and the cardinal role of women. In Uganda, specifically, people who are behind a meal at the table to cook, they are usually women and girls. And they cannot understand why many years ago you would walk into the neighbor's farm, you would walk into somebody's garden and be able to pick firewood. Today you can't. It's not even available. Right, Honorable Speaker, I who represent City, we have situations where people cannot eat because they have no energy to cook. So implementing the Climate Change Act and investing in it could see government being able to prioritize renewable energy. Right, Honorable Speaker, we said do not cut trees. What is the alternative? Issues to do with cheap and affordable gas. The Minister of Energy had, I think in the 2023, intimated that they were going to start a program to reduce the costs of gas so that people would be able to afford. And when you look at the way our planning is done, especially for the cities, when we travel, you see estates, you see villages accessing gas linked where you don't even need these cylinders. But because our planning is not rhyming with the changes of the world, we need to up our game as government. And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, economic. We were here earlier on talking about equity, talking about access to resources. When it comes to women, we may even close this August House. The women are the most poor, most illiterate, most sick, most vulnerable. The 30% that the government or the law requires in procurement and doing business with government, which is to the interest groups, is not practically actualized. The way we have seen change come to women.
On the implementation of the law, the PPDA Act, all the other laws that would bring in women.
Yes.
We shall want to hear from you for us to ensure that there is women empowerment. How best can we handle it?
Yeah, because you see how we have been able to move as women is when a law is created, there is deliberate effort to be able to achieve. We have not seen this government come out with deliberate programs to teach women how to do business. Talk about the African free continental trade. Talk about the region integration within the East Africa. Who exactly, where is government program that is building a cadre of women in business to be able to deal with all this? And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue to do with affordable financing. we cannot fail to speak about it today. Talk about the grow. We need to fast track it. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Before you go to the grow, you've been here trying to give money to ADB. And the money that you're giving to ADB, what percentage is going to the women? UDB. You're here getting a loan to give to UDB. How much of that money is going to a woman? 99% of the responsibility in a home lies on a woman. So if a woman is the one taking responsibility, and a woman is one person that banks trust in giving out, in lending, because they know they will pay, how much is going to the women? Okay, go ahead.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we want to see government being deliberate about making women have money in their pockets, not just policies that are put there and abandoned to be able to gather dust on the shelf. But we do thank you, and I hope that together we can continue to have these women experience this, but also have their voices in the August House. Thank you very much. I submit.
Thank you so much. Honorable Minister, I'm going to give you members to speak.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, personally I want to thank you and the members. When you see the resolutions that are here, they are very specific and outright. That's why I think the whole House supported them. For me, it's a question of now implementation.
Implementation, yes.
That's why we should now focus. Because when you look at whatever has been put here, you can see definitely that it was well thought out. So my request is, when we are debating, let's focus how we are going to implement these resolutions, instead of just passing them and then again we leave to it as a paper or whatever. But Right Honorable Speaker, having said that, I think the people who put you in that chair, or your mother and your father and the God, he saw something in you. And I'm being sincere. Because, first of all, I want to start with this parliament. You have given the parliamentary women representative the strength, the determination to come out openly and issue out issues, because you have given them a chance. In the past, you'd find the women, maybe they go back 5 years without speaking in this parliament. So they are getting the encouragement and determination from you. And when you look at them, they don't just come on this mic to just say things that are not connected. At times you find the men, with due respect, but the women are very focused. I am saying that at times, but men, the Right Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker will bail me out that whenever the women come on the mic, they are focused and their issues are focused.
Thank you, Senga.
Lastly, I want to make an appeal. When you look at most of these issues, and you look at the percentage of the women in government or in cabinet, you'll find each of us as ministers, we have got an issue to address. When we talk about government,
it's a multi-sectoral
government
issues.
So my appeal would be, if so wish, maybe you even call us the women ministers to sit with you and look at this, and we start saying this is this. You in health, how far have you done on the women? You in education, how have you done into this? You in finance, where we have even Honorable Beverin and Musasizi can come in with us. That will give way how to move.
Thank you.
To see this implemented.
Thank you.
Because we are on this side.
Yes.
But we need again to join hands with you and then account. When we go to Ministry of Gender, most of these issues are on Ministry of Gender. And the ministers of gender, as you know, the biggest of them, they are all women. When you go to health, all of us are women. When we reach roads where we don't have a woman, we can co-opt somebody to come with us. So my movement is that we should have time with you to see how do we implement this and achieve the intention of the resolution that we are going to pass. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think Honorable Hanifa is very correct, because at the end of the day, the Women Parliament sat here. We will need actions taken under Rule 220. We need actions taken on the resolutions of the women. The women were very passionate on their debate, and if you're getting up to speak, you're only making an amendment. If you're making an addition to the resolutions of the women that you think can make it better, then you should stand. Honorable Victoria.
And on this microphone everywhere, enjoying, and world over, women are known for PhD, known for pulling each other down. But you consoled us, because some women went through that. Someone is appointed to a post and intentionally is not vetted for years. Someone is shortlisted and a fellow woman goes backstabbing. Your confidence has helped us also to become confident. When you are confident, you don't block others. Thank you, and may God bless you for that. You have empowered us to think of every woman and not to leave any woman behind. This has energized us to make sure we implore government. We have to change the laws. We have to think of the next coming budgets to make sure things that obstacle our young ladies from growing up and replacing us in future are cleared. It hurts to find a very brilliant girl dropping out of school just because he or she lacks pads. We have all the power to enact laws and change them and make sure part of the money goes to rescue these girls. Life-saving environments and encouraging environments, Right Honorable Speaker, are a very, very big blockage to our girls' success. Why don't we think of making compulsory infrastructure in schools? Just an additional room for a changing room, just little money for a spare uniform and some pads and some knickers, so that these girls can come, attend, complete, and rise to higher horizons. I want to promise you that we are very prepared to rally behind you in your wishes and endeavors. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much. There was a promise of providing pads for all the women in the hospital. I mean, in all the girls at school. And you know, when a girl reaches that level, that's why most of these girls drop out of school. They get the stigma they cannot contain being there. But remember, they are from very poor families. So we need to look at that when we are making our budgets. But even when we are making our budgets, we need to make sure that this money reaches to the last girl down there in the village. Yes. Let me get a man first. Francis. Mukatulike. I'm coming. You're going to speak, all of you. Then if Patrick.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you because it is proper that we the men speak about these affairs, because we are husbands. We are sons of the women.
We are your daughters.
Yes, so we know what women go through, and they actually go through some of these challenges with us. Right on the Speaker, just yesterday, I was in Morago, specialized hospital, and trying to help a woman who delivered, and she was asked to pay 2 million shillings for cesarean section. In Morago, a government hospital. And then actually, I go to see a notice. You need consultation fee 50,000. Antenatal is 890. Examination under anesthesia is 800. Fistula reconstruction is 2.5 million. Normal delivery is 800,000. Cesarean section is 2 million shillings. Now, we have a Ministry of Health. It has, all of them are ladies, like Senga has suggested. Then you ask, such a policy, how did it pass? Because how many women, the women we are talking about, will afford such money in a hospitalized hospital of women in Morago? So when we go to implementation, and I want to agree with you, Honorable Minister for Health, that when we go to implementation, we need to ask a woman in business, a woman, because we need to help them in the conditions they go through. And you're talking about a local woman. This one was asked, she's a primary school teacher, to pay 2 million she couldn't afford and I had to come in. Actually, I also didn't have the 2 million. I had to borrow to assist a woman. Now you can imagine if a member of parliament is getting a challenge, what about this primary school teacher? So as we implement, as we come up with policies, can we look at these women so that it doesn't become rhetoric, that we just talk about it, but when it goes to implementation, we just don't, we don't put a lot of attention to it. So I was concerned, and I'm happy that we are talking about this. So Honorable Minister of Health, as you interact with the Speaker, please let us see how to help our women, because I am sure this may be happening in many of these public hospitals, that you go to health center for, that you go to a regional referral hospital, and you have to pay money, yet it is a government hospital. But this specifically for Morago, please.
Doctor?
Thank you very much, Honorable Mwijuse Francis. I just wanted to provide information that the government hospitals, from the level of a district hospital, regional referral hospital, and national hospitals, the policy is that they are grade A and grade B services. They are services which are free, but also there is a private wing in this government hospital. That is the policy which obtains now, unless if we sit and review it. So in all government hospitals, there is a window for free services and a window for private services.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the Minister for ICT for the information. I agree, and I said it is a policy. But I'm saying that this policy is not fair. I'm not saying it's not a policy. Because...
maybe what, Honorable Doctor, what can be done is to ensure that the amount can be revised for every woman to be able to go and give birth. You get it? Then as a woman, you will choose whether you go to the private wing, whether you go to where they give birth for free, but don't go to the local attendant in the village, because most of them most women have died because of that. But that can be revised, and health will handle.
Right Honorable Speaker, yes, it's true, a policy that in most of our facilities there are private wings. But I agree with you, and I promise that with the information of my colleague, and when we are talking about these resolutions, I am going to take it on, and we call the management and ministry, and we look how can we have affordable costs that our women can afford. And I will come back and give what we have come in.
Thank you.
It may be a policy, but you can't ask somebody 2 million, put 2 what up to that. Then we shall have to discuss, because we are looking, yes, it is private, but how can we make people get affordable services, even if it is a private wing?
Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, even with grading A and B, there is another young woman, again from Buhwej, who came for an operation. She had a tumor. She was, because it is now grade B, the free services, she was asked to come back next year in March.
Enjoy.
And when I intervened, of course, when I intervened, she was operated on after 1 week. But you can imagine that the free services, you'll have to wait longer. They will ask you now, we have bookings up to end of the year, because it is free. So even where we have free services, it is a problem. So, Honourable Minister, and again it is for women, because almost some of these complications are for the women. As you look at A and B, also look at the people who are told it is free, but wait for 6 months. It is free, but wait for 1 year. At the end of the day, you have not helped her. You are forcing her to go to a private hospital or to grade A and pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Patrick?
Thank you.
There's a procedure matter. Mukat.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me on behalf of these members of Parliament to thank, through you to thank these members of Parliament. I have gone to a number of occasions since I came to Parliament, and when you meet these members with their functions, they give a lot of support to women where government is supposed to come in. I want to thank you very much, honourable members, and this is factual. Secondly, the word in English is very clear, ladies and gentlemen. Whoever started that in the English language must have seen the value of women at that time. Ladies and gentlemen. You start gentlemen and ladies, you are totally off topic. In my constituency, I can attest to this. It is known to my supporters. I always ask them, tell me any man beating a woman. And the moment I get that man, he faces me rough. Not about his votes or anything, but the moment, even if you are my friend, we hang out together in the evening, but the moment I get any information that at your home you have time to beat a woman, we lose friendship. Because this is the way to go. But Madam Speaker, policies by government, Mr. Leader of Government Business, there is a very big challenge we need to address as a country. 2 young men, youth, a man impregnates a student at school. The girl goes 9 months away from school. After leaving school, the boy stays studying, but the girl doesn't continue studying. Why does that happen? From primary to secondary, attention must be given to both. If this... How can I refuse with the...
You have information?
Thank you, Honorable Sewung. The information I want to give is that these days, there are now more women beating men.
I don't know how you are handling it in your constituency when it comes to that.
Thank you, Honorable Basalirwa. Okay, you might state that, and still that is, you might state it, I don't know where you got that research from. Your research might not be well founded, but at least I know that a man sometimes is stronger than a woman. And that is natural. But Madam Speaker, because I want to leave the microphone.
Maybe it's the one who is being beaten.
Ladies are not being beaten. And I am insisting on that. But Honorable Basalirwa is saying that maybe Honorable Basalirwa is beaten by his wives more than often. But also if you are beaten, I will come and defend you as well. Madam Speaker, I'm seeking for a policy that must give attention to girls who get pregnant while still in school. Majority of these girls are left out. And we must come out very seriously on parents who go for money from the side of the boy and seek for money so that they get
early marriages.
Yes, the early marriages. Say, my daughter was impregnated, she was in P6, but I want money. And after that, getting money, she cannot use that money to continue educating her daughter, but uses it for his own benefit, the girl being a source of income because of a mischief that took place without her willingness, or because of her young age. We need to address all these issues. And the government, in the NRA manifesto, Minister for government, you have it stated that you must provide girls with the sanitary pads. At this era, this is like Karungu, Karamoja, Kanungu, where you come from. You should be having small factories manufacturing these simple things for these girls. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, one time when I was teaching in Shimoni, I was a P7 teacher. But the training we had for girls, because of use of senior women, you could see a girl getting that problem during class, but a boy would come and inform you, Mr. Sewungu, as you on the blackboard, Jane has got a challenge. Not making noise, then you move out all the boys, you remain with the girls, and you handle the challenges. Let us work on senior women, build them in schools to manage our girls, and they get their rights, all that will be better. Thank you, Madam
Patrick.
Speaker.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will start by commending the women for holding the third Women's Parliament, and I will also hasten
second
on the 3rd of March. And I will hasten, Madam Speaker, to address myself to the first motion, speaking to enhancing and strengthening access to education. Madam Speaker, first, I want us to look at proximity to education institutions. Madam Speaker, we all know that there is a policy that parishes should have primary schools. Sub-counties should have the city schools. And the problem is, in most of our constituencies, secondary schools are in one parish, in one sub-county, but to go to the next sub-county, it's not there. So a girl child will have to move
kilometers.
Like 20 kilometers, because from one sub-county, you have to cross the next sub-county, now to go to the next sub-county.
And in between there, that's where they get these hungry men who defile them.
This is exactly what I wanted to bring out, Madam Speaker, that along the way, there are different levels of temptations. So if we can only address ourselves to the government policy, that will shorten the distance to the education institutions.
So the amendment is that the government policy on education of having a school in every sub-county should be enhanced to avoid that kind of scenario. Yes.
Madam Speaker, if we can have that per sub-county and also the parishes for primary schools, that would be fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Matchbox. And then Stephen.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the women referred you as an iron lady, if I remember very well on that day. Indeed, thank you very much for making our women feel very comfortable. You are one of the champions when it comes to empowering the girl child. You have given so many scholarships to girls. We want to thank you as a country. You're actually a role model to many outside there. They look up to you, Right Honorable Speaker. Indeed, as we talk of financial inclusiveness of women in economic empowerment, Right Honorable Speaker, women in this house talked, I remember, they were recommending PDM very well. But when it came to grow across, there was a problem. And now last week, the presiding officer requested the Minister of Gender to come here with a comprehensive report to be laid here on the floor of Parliament. In fact, members were crying so loud that we just hear grow for women, but we do not know how many beneficiaries we have in our districts. In Arua City, we do not have any beneficiary. We wondered how this GROW program was designed. Second, Right Honorable Speaker, in refugee camps, the NGOs are doing very well when it comes to training the girl child with reusable sanitary towels. Our parents, those days, in ancient days, they were not using pads. I think they were just using clothes. But today, Right Honorable Speaker, our women cannot even afford, that local person in Bukedia, even in Arua City, cannot afford to buy a pad of 3,000. Why can't the government come up with a program that in every school they can train our girl child how to make the reusable sanitary towels in order to curb girl child from dropping out of school, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
I think that's a matter of concern.
Honorable Minister, Leader of Government Business, we really need to understand how GROW works. As members of Parliament, if you ask any member of Parliament here, what is GROW? How does it work? I don't think there are people who know about it. So we need to understand what it is. So you may need to tell the minister that we need to understand. Because we need to help her and explain to the people outside there. I saw a woman crying, saying, this man was supposed to be given to us, we don't know, and that kind of thing. Stephen?
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank my brother, Honorable Mwijuche. You know, in health sector, much as the Honorable Minister has said that we have grade A and grade B, whereby in grade B, at least if you have the capacity, you can pay for an extra service and be treated well. But remember, majority of our mothers, our women, down there in the village, they don't have the capacity to do that. And there are reasons why people go for, you know, a private sector to be treated well. It's because they know that there are a number of challenges there in grade A, whereby in that very facility in the hospital, you are being attended by the same doctors. If the hospital has more than 5 or 10 doctors, those are the very ones who would attend those ones in grade B or those ones in grade A. So, Right Honorable Speaker, my issue is one. If we are to look on how we can help our mothers or the women there, should we have a specific number of doctors with same qualifications with those ones who are given enough time in grade B, also to have time for those women there who are in grade A? Because remember, the reason why most of them lie there and they end up dying, it's because they tend to see how best we can have a clear policy on how we can be able to attend to our mothers or to the needy, those ones who are in our villages there suffering. Thank you.
Zombo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to congratulate you for hosting this very important conference for the women. And I pray that these kind of conferences should go up to the village area so that the women can also, the rural women can also participate actively, and that will be an encouragement to them.
Honorable members, first of all, the women who came here are rural women. They are rural women. They were not members of parliament. These were councillors from the villages. So these were rural women.
Thank you for that. But I think we can still go deeper to the real deep villages so that the women can get empowered.
As leaders of different districts, different constituencies, I want to urge you to take this kind of training down to the local woman, down, and educate them what their entitlement is, how best they can get financial inclusion, how best they can get to be empowered. Leaders, I want you to go to do that.
Thank you very much for that guidance. Now, I want to really support this motion by the fact that the policies focusing on the women should really work to address the women's health. If you go to the rural areas right now, especially the primary school, if you see the health of the girl child, it is a big challenge because of poor hygiene, sanitation in schools. I think policy should be able to address so that we can control infections right from the primary school. And then issues of water and sanitation. Many women are moving long distance looking for water and cooking very late. It's bringing a lot of domestic violence. That should be addressed. The issue of education is also very important. I have a foundation called Songa Community Foundation. Since I joined this parliament, much as many of us would be supporting first graders, I went ahead.
So bringing water nearer to the women should be an addition to the
exactly. In that foundation, I had been supporting first graders, but also I've gone ahead to pick girls who have got second grade just to promote them in education. So we think that access to education should be very important. And then expanding economic opportunities for the rural sector, focusing on women, access to land, access to resources that can help them invest. I think that will be very important. Now, coming to the issue of people who are helping women in the rural area, nurses and VHTs, these people are suffering. If there can be a way to hold the hands of the VHTs and the nurses who are working in rural area, they are really helping these women. So that is a call. And then another thing is, when you give a woman money, they will first think about education, food at home, priority things. But when you give a man, I don't know what the priority thing is to start with that money. So we think that giving access to economic resources to women will develop communities.
Honorable Minister, are you hearing?
Finally.
that access to financial inclusion should be a priority for women, because it is women who know to maximize the use of money.
And I'm talking as a member of WOPA, by the way. Since 2017, I had been a member of WOPA. Now, access to market. Most of our smallholder farmers are women in Uganda. And these smallholder farmers are trying to do small kind of businesses that should help them to educate their children, to access health, but they don't have access to market. So we need to focus on that area so that we can improve infrastructure that can enable these women to get access to market. Finally, the issue of corruption. Finally.
There's a motion.
There are so many programs that are going targeting women. But what is happening is some of the money, some of the resources are not reaching the women. Therefore, I pray that that's...
There's a motion. Honorable members, you need to understand the rules.
Right, Honourable Speaker, the resolutions that we are reached at are direct to government. They are straightforward. They are obvious. The additions being made, supplementary comments being made, are equally good and welcome. The danger, right, Honourable Speaker, is that now we are becoming repetitive with the risk of undermining the original resolutions. I therefore beg to move that we adopt the resolutions mutatis mutandis. I beg to move, Right Honourable Speaker.
Seconded. Seconded by Macho, by Kubeketeria, by Honorable Bahati, by Honorable Isamat, by Honorable Winfred, by Honorable Alebtong, Jennifer, Noeline, Orone, Afoyo Chan, by Butaleya, by Honorable Akumu, Mavenjina, Jessica, Mpindi, Musa, Rita, Muzee Kagabo, Dr. Peya, Margaret, Honorable Juche. Thank you so much. Honorable members, the resolutions. Do you want to say something? No, the minister.
Madam Speaker, before the minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. And I take the opportunity to thank the honourable members for the debate, the contribution they have made. Let me start by thanking you, Madam Speaker, for having accorded an opportunity to the women of this country to come and sit in this parliament and deliberate on issues which affect them. But of course, issues which affect women also affect us as men, and therefore I would like to appreciate you and thank you for having accorded that opportunity to the women of Uganda. I thank Honorable Uma for the motion. The motion is for a resolution of Parliament urging government, and now I speak for government, and I have gone through the various resolutions which were passed by the women, and they are very positive, and they add value to the work that we do as a government and as a country, and we receive them with enthusiasm and warmth. Let me say that they have also come at the right time when we are in the budgeting process, because some of the resolutions have budgetary implications, and since we are now presenting ministerial policy statements and the committees are going to be interrogating the budgetary proposals, I urge our members that when we interact with the ministers and agencies also, let's see how much we can integrate in the budgeting process. But I just want to express our commitment as a government that we shall take the resolutions and work on them. Let me also say that women are special. Even God, who created us, made women special. I can give you a statistic, Madam Speaker, that at birth, there are more males who are born compared to females. The average sex ratio at birth is for every 100 females, there are 105 males. But in life, more males die compared to women. Even when you check what we call life expectancy at birth, you'll find it is higher for women and lower for the males as the men. And the reason is both social and environmental and also biological. For instance, you will find women possess hormones, possess chromosomes, and the other biological biomarkers which offer protection to women compared to us, the men. So even God realized that and gave special physiological protection to the women. And therefore, we are duty bound as males to give all the support to the women so that we move together. Madam Speaker, that's what urged me to move a law on prohibition of female genital mutilation, even when I am a man, because as men, we must support the women in all the causes. There are some specific issues which have been raised, but in the interest of time, let me just comment on a few issues. Yes, government pledged to provide pads to our girls. I think the challenge has been a budgeting issue. Government remains committed to ensuring that the girls get the pads, but let's together address it through budgeting, and then we'll be able to support our girls. There was an issue raised by Honorable Francis Mwijuchi and others about the grade A, grade B services. And I think Honorable Francis has a point, that even when the government created a private wing, the intention was not to commercialize government hospitals. And therefore, the Ministry of Health should be able to look at that policy perspective and be able to regulate the fees, the money which is being charged in the government hospitals. So the intention was to provide a quick service for those who can afford and want a quick service, but the intention was not for commercialization so that you put exorbitant and astronomical figures, like saying 2 million shillings for a cesarean section. So I think the Ministry of Health and the Committee on Health should engage with the ministry so that there is a proper regulation on the fees and amounts which are being charged. The policy on girls getting pregnant when they are in school, I think, has been settled, and the Minister of Gender the other day also clarified that the girls who get pregnant are allowed to get back to school. That should not be a reason for them to drop out. You have requested that the Minister for Gender comes and makes a presentation on the GROW project. And I will relay this information because we need to know as members of Parliament how these projects work, so that when we get back into our constituencies, we are able to explain to our voters, our constituents, from an informed point of view. So I agree with you, Madam Speaker, and I will request the Minister for Gender at the earliest to come up with an information paper for Parliament in order for us to understand.
Thank
you. I thank you very much, and thank the honourable members, and pledge that we take the resolutions and we shall work on them and integrate them in the budgeting and planning processes of government.
Thank you so much, Honourable Minister. We also need the annual report on the steps that have been taken to eliminate the gender-based violence on women, and then discrimination amongst women. We always have this convention in New York every year, but we never get a report in this house. Can we have a report in this house on what happens, on what have been agreed? And when you look at SDG 5, it talks about gender equity. And I thought this is what you would be presented on a Women's Day, giving us a status of gender equity, other than going there to praise yourselves. You're praising yourselves. You're giving yourselves medals. No, tell us about gender equity. What have we done? What is the percentage now? Where are we now? Where are we coming from? That's what we should be doing. But we are going for Women's Day and we are there praising ourselves instead of telling us how a local woman down there is benefiting. I now put a question that the motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to accord due consideration to the resolution of the second Women's Parliament to be adopted with amendments by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary. The ayes have it. I will now instruct the clerk to extract all the resolutions and forward to the relevant ministries for action taken and report back to this House within 3 months as per Rule 2020. Thank you so much, Honorable Linda.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving the women space. May you receive a distance hug from the women of Uganda, and all my fellow colleagues for supporting us in this move. May God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next item.
Item 6 on the order paper. Motion for the House to resolve itself into a committee of supply to consider the supplementary expenditure schedule number 3 for the financial year 2024-2025.
Honorable members, you will recall that yesterday the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development tabled a supplementary expenditure schedule 3 for financial year 2024-2025. It was referred to the Budget Committee for consideration, and the committee is ready to report as required by Article 156(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, and Rule 153 of the Rules of Procedure. I will now invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to move a motion to that effect. Honorable Minister. Honorable Macho.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to move a motion that this House resolves itself into a committee of supply to consider the supplementary schedule number 3 for financial year 2024-2025. I beg to move.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Honorable Gwang, Willison, Biralo, Jane, Patience, Adrico, James, Macho, Gerald, Akelo, Manuel, Apea, Twaha, Basalira, Dr. Baremusi, Honorable Bahati, Honorable Shema, Pasca, Honorable Elwelu, Honorable Afoyo Chan, Honorable Kotogong, Rita, Zombo, Aleb Tong, Lillian, Rampara, Amos, Stephen, Dr. Kefa, Enos, Honorable Baba, Honorable Max, Honorable Tima, Honorable Maureen, Matchbox, Honorable Isamat, Honorable Joel, Honorable Mutua, Honorable David, Honorable Kifensa, Honorable Annette Mugisha, Honorable ICT, Innovation, Chair Innovation, Honorable Catherine, Honorable Kaliro, Noeline, and elders, plus Kamukama. Speak to your motion.
Madam Speaker and colleagues, this motion is moved pursuant to Article 156 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Section 24 of the Public Finance Management Act of 2015, and it arises out of the need to provide for government commitments and obligations, which include outstanding certificates for the road construction companies, security-related expenditure under Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs and Uganda Police Force, completion of Hoima Stadium, construction of Akibwa Stadium, training facilities, and operational expenses in the preparation for the African Cup of Nations, AFCON 2027. Madam Speaker, in order to provide for these expenditures, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development issued supplemental expenditure within 3% of the approved budget, amounting to Uganda shillings 1.113 trillion, representing 1.54% of the approved budget. This exhausts the supplementary limit under 3%. Additionally, we sought and obtained approval from Cabinet to present to this House the supplemental expenditure amounting to Uganda shillings 3.142 trillion, which is above the 3% legal limit, and therefore requires prior parliamentary approval before the funds are utilized by the respective votes. Madam Speaker, the total supplementary expenditure under this schedule is summarized as below. Under 3%, 1.113 trillion, and above 3%, 3.142 trillion, totaling to 4.255 trillion. Madam Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Can we now get a report from the chairperson of the committee?
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm here to present the report of the Budget Committee on the supplementary expenditure schedule number 3 for the financial year 2024-25. And I beg to lay the committee report. I also wish to lay the minutes of the committee. I also have a minority report, and I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Minister of Finance, as we have heard, presented a supplementary expenditure schedule number 3 amounting to 4.255 trillion. The Budget Committee has examined the supplementary expenditure schedule and now wishes to report. Right Honorable Speaker, Schedule 3 constitutes 1.13 trillion, that is within the 3% legal limit, and shillings 3.142 trillion, that is above the 3% legal limit of the total approved budget of 72.136 trillion for the financial year 2024-25. Honorable members, it is important to note that government has so far presented to Parliament supplementary requests for the financial year 2024-25 as summarized in the table 1, and you can look at the supplementaries. I will skip the methodology and the documents examined. We interfaced with the Minister of Finance and the accounting officers of the various MDAs that are listed in the schedule. And we have also highlighted the legal framework, specifically under Article 25 of the Public Finance Management Act, which indicates that the total supplementary expenditure that requires additional resources over and above what is approved by Parliament shall not exceed 3% of the total approved budget for that financial year without approval of Parliament. Number 2, that where funds are expended under subsection 1, supplementary estimates showing the sums spent shall be laid before Parliament within 4 months after the money has been spent. We are making further reference to the regulations 18, 5, 6, and 7 of the PFMA that indicates that Parliament may approve the supplementary appropriation, or the Minister may approve a supplementary budget as the case may be, where the supplementary expenditure is unavoidable and unforeseen. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I will go to the source of funding. According to Rule 153(2) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, the supplementary estimates presented to Parliament shall clearly spell out the source of funding for the supplementary expenditure requested for each vote. This particular Schedule 3 is being funded from a combination of additional external borrowing, additional domestic borrowing, additional non-tax revenues, petroleum fund resources, among others. The table highlights the various categories as sources of funding. I will go to 3.0, the committee observations and recommendations. Part 1, supplementary requests within 3% legal limit, which amounts to 1.113 trillion.
Procedure.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm raising a procedural matter. When a supplementary schedule, which forms of part of the budget, is brought to this House, Rule 153, which should be read together with 148 and 49, requires you to subject this supplementary to scrutiny by the sectoral committees first, before the budget committee can report. There are sectors where I belong. For example, under Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the sectoral committee did not. And these supplementaries are not standalone. They anchor on the policy positions that were articulated by the executive to the sectoral committees. And now the chairperson is here reporting on these matters, which is a breach, is a violation of our own rules of procedure, for which, Madam Speaker, you are the custodian. The point of procedure I'm raising is first for you as the custodian to clarify under what powers were these mandatory provisions disregarded or, in another way, abused to the extent that the budget committee overtook the mandate of the sectoral committees. That's the first procedural matter, because it would help us avoid repetitions and also hold the executive to by the promises they made to us during commitments they made during the processing of the ministerial policy statement. That's the first preliminary point that I wanted to raise. The second one, Madam Speaker, is that this report has been uploaded about 12 minutes ago, availed to members of Parliament. You are talking about 4 trillion shillings. And unless otherwise, this is not an adequate time for a diligent member of Parliament to scrutinize and pass the budget. Even a robot may require time to be processed, the computer to give instructions to a robot to do that. So even if I assume that we are here, machines that can be programmed and coerced to do that, Madam Speaker, we must be given time. The procedural matter, the second one, which is by way of objection, is to request and require you to allow this report to be tabled as the rules provide, give us time so that we assess, and it is in good spirit. I'm not saying the supplementary is bad, but so that when we pass it, we can own and also explain to the public. Remember, there are so many supplementaries that have been requested by our districts and stakeholders who would like to be convinced why these ones and not the other one. The last one is also for us to appreciate the details, which at the moment is not available. I require from you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Jonah. Jonah, I appreciate what you're saying. But when you look at the matters of urgency on some of these issues that are being brought, that is what is preempting us to do whatever we are doing. Because when you look at, if I could give an example, Ogwang will stand up and say, you know, now my contractor is leaving Akiba Stadium. We have Chan in August, that kind of thing. And then two, the members of sector committees are members of the budget committee. We are alive to that fact, and our imagination and our belief is they have been there to make sure that these issues are being handled. We appreciate what you're saying. We really do so. But we have had these kind of scenarios. And then we are going into the budgeting process. As we go into the budgeting process, we should be able to conclude with this. Systems cannot stop working because we don't have money, and yet we have obligations to meet. You want to say something?
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate Honorable Jonathan for having that in-depth thinking about what we are doing. However, I want to note the following. One, specifically, for instance, for me who belongs to the Committee on Education, when we talk about AFCON and the kind of opportunity that we have as a country for the first time, and if we're about to squander it, you just know that we have lost it, and Africa will never trust us ever again. So I think, first of all, this House already has members who are in these sectoral committees. So away from being in the budget committee, we have here members who belong to this House, and they are here. It does not mean that as a House, we are not concerned at all. Right Honorable Speaker, the speakers of the House also have the powers to relate and take these matters to relevant. They take decisions. For instance, when they say that this is referred to the Committee on the Budget, that comes from the presiding
I thought
officer.
you're adding something.
Point of order.
I thought you were adding something. That's what I'd already said.
Yes, because the Speaker has the powers.
Madam Speaker.
I am saying that is what I'd already said. I was talking about issues of emergency, urgency of the matter. But anyway, before we go into a serious discussion on this, let me first congratulate my friend.
Madam Speaker, I was on
honorable members, the gentleman who gave us to host AFCON, Dr. Patrice Musepe, has been re-elected now unopposed as the president of CAF again. As Parliament, we want to congratulate him and thank him for that. Yes. I'd stopped you.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, the point of order,
you.
And by way of orientation.
No, I had stopped him from talking because he was repeating what I'd said.
Yeah. Madam Speaker,
you allow Honorable Dur to bring the issue.
Thank you.
And one thing you should know, Jonathan is not bringing it in bad faith. He's not bringing it in bad faith. That one, just know it. One is only mindful of one. We should have sent this to the sectoral committees first. Two, why are we in a hurry? Three, we are going into a budgeting process. Couldn't we put this into the budget? But then we are saying, yes, we appreciate your issue. The issue now is we have obligations that we must meet now before we have timelines. Secondly, these issues, the chairpersons of committees are ex-officials. of the budget committee. They're ex-officials, and they have been there in the committees. And I just want you to bear with us.
Madam Speaker, I perfectly understand. I'm also on procedure.
It's on procedure.
Yeah. Courtesy demands of this House, and we keep learning, that when a member of parliament rises, even on order or something, you sit down. I usually do that. But the points I raise does not go into the merits and the justification for a supplementary. I am totally acting as per our rules. That's why I have not even touched anything in it, because we shall debate it. My point was first, Madam Speaker, for us to deal with that. But with your guidance,
it's on procedure.
With your guidance, Madam Speaker, yeah, with the guidance you have provided to us, Madam Speaker, I think that if the government and the executive were looking for what in law we call a pleader, somebody who pleads on your behalf, then you have won the medal, which I didn't actually expect that the Speaker would side with the government in this aspect as a neutral arbiter. Now, the government has all the tools to plan and know what to do. No one has stopped them bringing it yesterday or the other day. Their emergency cannot, therefore, turn out to be ours, so that we don't scrutinize and pass this. Members of Parliament here.
Government, I'm not your pleader. Please speak for yourselves.
Thank you for coming back and being now the neutral arbiter, and that's what I wanted. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Government.
But if the government has anything urgent, the Parliament is here. They have even ever called you and said, please recall the House. That has happened. All I am saying is that Parliament must not be taken for granted. It's not the first time. And two, even if there are urgent things, this supplementary I can submit authoritatively. It's not only about the urgent things. If we are allowed to interrogate and we ask, is this really urgent? The minister here will tell us it's not urgent. Let me even address the issue of AFCON. I'm a very ardent football supporter. I love AFCON to come here, but let me tell you.
I am even told
already.
You.
No.
I am even told you board and go and watch on your own.
That may be some room. Madam Speaker, AFCON was supposed to already start. Chan was supposed, by now we should have been in Chan. So, yeah, the other procedure, the other procedure.
Yes, procedure.
Yes. So, Madam Speaker, I wanted you to note this violations of the rules. And as I mentioned, we are still available. If it pleases you, you could please follow the rules. But if it does not please you and you want to proceed, you are the custodian, you are the Speaker of Parliament, it's within your powers, Madam Speaker.
I responded to what was raised. Yes.
Right Honourable, I had not completed.
Hey. Okay, you complete then.
Yes, normally when God elects leaders or appoints leaders, they appoint leaders, God appoints leaders with wisdom. And leaders give guidance. Right Honourable Speaker, God has given me wisdom just like he has given to other people. Today, the wisdom that I have is that let us follow the wisdom that comes from the presiding officer. Because I know that is what steers the country. God cannot give a leader just leadership without wisdom. By the time they decide that let us take this to the budget committee, that is wisdom. That is wisdom. And it comes through our rules. The Speaker has the powers. And Madam Speaker, I think those who have spoken have already spoken. This was from me. I didn't speak so that I make somebody to jump off their bench. I think that will not be a good thing.
There's an order. Are you still speaking?
Madam Speaker, this House and the position that we get appointed to are by virtue of laws. The Constitution first, the rules of procedure. Nowhere is wisdom. Nowhere is wisdom provided for in the Constitution as a yardstick for appointment of leaders. Wisdoms are good for exercise of your power, but those offices are because you exist for the country. Now, the point of order is in order to portray and just mislead that God is around in this house always, sending his wisdom, and that me, I am here. It is not God that elected me and give me wisdom to also raise this procedural matter.
God,
is in order.
God is there for all of us. Yes. There is a procedure, then I will come to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I'm not against the request for the supplementary, because if you look into the submission by the chair of the committee, the Public Finance Act has been respected. We are not beyond the 3%. The sources of this fund are very clear. I think my brother Odur expected one thing, and to the best of my knowledge, I believe you have not ruled. I think my brother wanted to know, because so many times here we have suspended some rules to see that we work towards the request of government. If we have matters of emergencies, issues relating to security and others, I think my brother Odur expected something like he expected a motion to be raised, or that you've used your powers that rule. I request for protection. I think Odur expected that Rule 148 and Rule 149 plus Rule 153 were suspended to move on. I thank you. I'm done. I'm finished.
Honorable members, I have given my guidance, and I have said we are looking at issues of urgency of these matters. Number two, the schedule that has been given is very clear. There is clarity in the schedule, and then the rules are not an end of everything. We must look at the reality, the situation at hand. We cannot say, okay, because of the rules, if there is fire that has caught a place because of the hunger in Ites or wherever, so we should now wait until that time. Let's be realistic ourselves. Maybe let's hear from government.
Right, Honorable Speaker, there are parliaments which have in their rules what we call filibuster motions, where people can filibuster the House and delay business, but we don't have. The Honorable Member was on the floor submitting, and he was interrupted, and you have guided on the points being raised by Honorable Drew. I would suggest that the Honorable Member be allowed to present and conclude his presentation. Otherwise, we are just